Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right. I apparently have a partner today, so hopefully she's not bleeding into my diaphragm too much. If I could have the shofar blowers blow the shofar, please. If I could have you stand, please, for the opening. I'm getting snuggles today. All right. All right. Gideon, you can go ahead and open. Page 64, Ein Kamoko, of course, the screen to my right. Ein Kamoko Elohim Yehovah, Loyeh. Maseka, Makutka, Makugo, Olamim, Omen Shazaka, Rekodor, Ador, Yehovah Melech, Yehovah Malach, Yehovah Yimlok, Le'olam Vayed, Yehovah Tzlemo Yisei, Yehovah Yivarech, Etamah Shalom. There is none like you among the Elohim, Yahweh, and there is nothing like your works. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and your dominion is throughout all generations. Yahweh reigns, Yahweh has reigned, Yahweh will reign forever and ever. Yahweh will give strength unto his people. Yahweh will bless his people with peace. If you please, join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, I come to you today knowing that you are the Lord of hosts, that your armies are assembled, that you have Israel well in hand, that we have no need to worry, that we have no need to be anxious, that we know that the end times do truly seem to be approaching. We will never assume your timeline, Father. We will never presume to know all the intricacies of the plans. But you have told us, Father, to watch for signs, and they do seem to be occurring at a rapid pace. Father, I ask that instead of being focused on the future, that we can focus on today. That we can focus on the blessings that you have given us. That we can focus on the very air that you give us to breathe. That we can be blessings unto others. That we can continue reaching out, being generous and comforting to one another. But Father, that we simply take joy in the day. Father, you wish us to be anxious for nothing. And I ask that as we come together today and we continue to worship on your Shabbat, that we do so with safety and harmony and peace, and that we not only uplift each other, but Father, that we lift up your holy name. For as always, it is you and only you worthy to be praised. Amen. I hope you all had your eyes closed, because if you didn't, you saw something being really silly.
It was so sad.
She still wanted to play with the microphone.
All right. Mama's waiting.
Can't have video silence, so you know.
The FCC doesn't like that. Dead air. No dead air.
If anyone wishes to join in with flags or dancing, you are more than welcome.
No smacking each other over the head.
Well,
Unless it's the rabbi.
a little bit, unless it's the rabbi comes a lot.
Oh my, there we go. I think that's Holy Spirit's breathing on that one. Yeah. Holy Spirit moving really well. Hallelujah. Feel that a root.
for they shall have the kingdom. Blessed are those who mourn, comfort shall be theirs. Blessed be the Lord our God, and blessed are the ones who take refuge in His name. Yom Tel Yisrael, Harav Simcha, Shabbat Menucha. 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 This day we will honor your name. This day you've removed all our shame. Blessed are the meek and gentle, for they shall own the land. Blessed are the righteous ones, for they'll be satisfied. Blessed be the Lord our God, and blessed are the ones who take refuge in His name. Yom Tel Yisrael, Harav Simcha, Shabbat Menucha. 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 Let this day be a sanctuary, a sanctuary in time. This day proclaims God is true to His name. It's a taste of His finest wine. This day as we all gather near, this day, Lord, your message is so clear. Blessed are the merciful, for they will have your mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, and they'll see you face to face. Blessed be the Lord our God, and blessed are the ones who take refuge in His name. Yom Tel Yisrael, Harav Simcha, Shabbat Menucha. Yom Tel Yisrael, Harav Simcha, Shabbat Menucha. Yom Tel Yisrael, Harav Simcha, Shabbat Menucha. Yom Tel Yisrael, Harav Simcha, Shabbat Menucha.
Psalm 121 says, I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord,
of heaven and earth. Your foot shall never be moved. You'll never stumble or slip. He who watches Israel, he never slumbers or sleeps. So he never slumbers or sleeps. The Lord will keep you from harm. He watches over your soul. He will watch you come and go. Now and forevermore, forever, now and forevermore. To the hills, where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. Oh, maker of heaven and earth. Oh, maker of heaven and earth. Oh, maker of heaven.
Shalaya Koa Lekomei Adonai Yachalifu Koa Yanu Elekam Shalim Yahuzu Belo Yigamu Yahu Belo Yahu Have not known, have not heard, have not known, have not heard. Hallelujah, Data, Himlo Shemata.
Drifting beneath the horizon. Body's weak, but I'm trying to make it to shore. But I'm falling short. I need you more. Wave after wave, I've been sinking. So unto your promise, I'm clinging. You say that I'm strong. To you I belong. Keep holding on. You are my anchor. So stay now. You are my anchor. You're keeping my feet on the ground. In angry oceans, you never broken through every wave of the storm. You are my anchor. So stay now. Come stay now. When I get tired of fighting all of the fears I've been hiding, you gave me a breath and tell me to rest. You never left. I can hear you calling me by name, pulling me out from under my shame. Never been the same. I can face anything, so let it rain. You are my anchor. So stay now. You are my anchor. You're keeping my feet on the ground. In angry oceans, you've never broken through every wave of the storm. You are my anchor. So stay now. Come stay now. Don't let go. I don't
No more will I run from you. I will be wise, accepting your shelter. No more will I have to fear. I will be here in your arms. No more will I run from you. I will be wise, accepting your
his name. Seek the Lord and his strength. Glory to his name.
Gideon, go turn the lights on. Go, 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 run, 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 run fast. Remember, I've been stretching it out. I mean, I'm really milking the loop thing.
TV.
I just saw it as soon as you guys started, I'm like, whoopsie. Yes.
Hey, where did my chair go?
Okay, am I still?
right, Kitty.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
Thank you, young man.
Yeah. There we go. All right, once again, Shabbat Shalom. Woo. Yep, should have worn a ponytail. Oh my goodness. Whew. All right. I owe all the gentlemen an apology. Somewhere there are gifts for Father's Day. I don't know where they are.
That's right where you put them.
I was like, I know I brought them here. At least I thought I knew I brought them here.
Did you check the trunk of the Mercedes?
No, but I'm pretty sure I brought them in because I brought the Mother's Day stuff in here too. And I was like, okay, I've got Mother's Day and Father's Day taken. I have no idea what Father's Day is. So it was very frustrating. So I must apologize. So I'll have to make it up to you guys when I find them.
They'll be Hanukkah presents.
By the way, remember last Father's Day?
Yeah, at my house, I really do have I'm like a little squirrel or a ferret, and I ferret things away. And then 6 months later, I'm like, oh, I was supposed to give that to you at fill in the holiday here.
She comes out randomly and goes, this was for your birthday. I'm like, it's June.
Yes. Happy belated birthday. Of course, if it was June, I would have just waited for Father's Day and just said, hey, here you go.
Really interesting. Why does it say 1983?
It's vintage. That's all the rage now. Oh my goodness. But truly, a thank you for all of our fathers and father figures and mentors for being who you are and for dealing with us wives as we are pregnant and crazy. I know that can't be easy, but you made it look difficult, that's for sure.
I enjoyed your pregnancy. You were a big shiny red button.
Yes, and he likes to dress up. What's this?
Watch how she explodes.
If you really get her, she changes colors. Oh. Further, of course, we have services next week, and then we do have a sign-up sheet on the back table for the July 4th Oneg picnic. Now, I will have hamburgers and I will have cheeseburgers. I will have both. I will have the beef hot dogs. I typically get Hebrew Nationals because I think they're better in general. I do ask that if you sign up for something, please make sure you bring it. If it's something like ketchup or mustard and all of a sudden you decide or you discover you won't be able to be here for July 4th, maybe you can bring it next weekend or just send us a message. You all are fantastic because you go, you know what, I'm going to bring this just in case. And I think there was one year we had like 3 bottles of ketchup, 4 bottles of mustard. And I'm like, guys, I love you. We don't need this much. Better be over than under, yes. But just so that, you know, I don't need you guys spending more than you need. So just kind of keep that in mind. And obviously, if there's something else that you want to bring that's not on the list that you think would do well, that's absolutely fine. You're more than welcome to do so. So just write it down there so that we don't have a lot of duplicates. I don't have a preference on hot dog buns, hamburger buns, or anything like that. We usually need enough. I try to have enough for like 32 for each, just to be on the safe side. As you say, better over than under. If there are gluten-free options available, that's also nice. But other than that, we just try to have fun with it and eat until we can't anymore. I don't know when it is. It's probably Friday night. It could be Saturday night. If you check the Citrus County word of mouth, Downtown Inverness does a fantastic July 4th celebration. They have food vendors, they have music. Of course, they have a fantastic fireworks display. So if you don't have anything local and you want to check out Inverness, just make sure that you park accordingly because it's nuts. What?
I think it's on the 3rd.
Yeah, usually it's not quite on the 4th. So yeah, that Friday night.
Big field, they got the Lakers thing.
Yeah, it's at
Yeah.
Liberty Park.
Liberty Park. Thank you. I'm like, it's something patriotic. What is it? Lord have mercy.
It's better from the lake, but this year it's not going to be so good because you can't get into any of the docks.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I remember when it was just 4 rednecks in a pickup truck.
It was wild.
Backyard barbecue.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, we could go over and park in the Bell's Outlet parking lot, and there wasn't a lot of traffic, and you could still see the fireworks. Now, man, everything is just absolutely packed, and you've got food vendors even
I
there.
remember when our daughters were little ones. I know we're going back 20 years. 20 years ago, you could park, walk 2 blocks, be right there at the lake. There's plenty of room.
Yep,
When that got to be too much, we would go over to the
Bell's Outlet parking
to the
lot.
Bell's Outlet parking lot. There's plenty of room, everything. The last time we did that, I mean, the Bell's parking lot was jammed. I mean, all of
Yeah.
downtown is jacked up.
Yeah, but if you are a people person and you like to be around the cacophony and the fun, it's definitely a place to be. It's a lot of fun. I don't think I have anything else in the way of announcements unless there's anything else that you all need to remind me of. Please remember the prayer journal over there by the pushka. For your requests, not only just to write them down, but to look at it, take a snapshot of it so that you can remember to keep those people in prayer. All right? Okay. I think that is it for the announcements. If I can have you stand one more time, please, for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
ואהבת את יהוה אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מסך היום על לבביך ושינתם לבביך ודיר בטבם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וכשאתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our Elohim, Yahweh is one. Blessed is the name of his glorious kingdom for all eternity. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And have these words which I command you this day be upon your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, and speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you retire, and when you arise. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and let them be frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamoka. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Amen. Thank you so much. You may be seated. I'll turn things over to Rabbi Norman with his continuation of Luke.
Lulu. Shabbat Shalom. Today we're going to continue with Luke. And we have now gotten into Luke chapter 2. We're going to be starting a discussion of the birth of Yeshua. Believe it or not, the birth of Yeshua is only covered in 2 of the 4 Gospels. Considering what an important event it is, you'd think it'd be covered in all 4, but it's not. And you would think that an event this important, that these 2 accounts would be fairly consistent. But you'd be wrong. There are in fact a number of marked differences between them. When Yochanan made this bima for me, he put the word emet on it, truth. We must be truthful. The reality is, this book is not a book. This book is a bunch of books. It was not written by a single person. It was written by numerous people. It wasn't all written at the same time and compiled. There wasn't a room with 12 authors and all of them comparing notes. What you are getting are different accounts, sometimes of the same events, sometimes of different events. But these are different accounts by different authors that very often did not know that anyone else was writing about this, and none of them had any idea that they were ever going to be compiled together in one book. They were written as individual, standalone documents and accounts. So it is insincere to claim that there are no discrepancies. That's just not true. And some of these discrepancies have been used to undermine the legitimacy of the Gospels and the Bible. Our enemies are certainly aware of this. And they use those and jam it in there. And the problem is, because we all love this book so much, we don't want it to have any perceived flaws or discrepancies. So when you go to point one out, very often you get a very well-meaning person go, that's just not true. Well, yes, it kind of is. Well, you just don't understand. Well, then educate me on what I don't understand. There's this idea that in admitting that there are any discrepancies at all, in admitting that there are any differences at all, that you're somehow sinning. And you almost get shamed into silence. But you know who you're not shaming into silence? The people who are using those to discredit the Bible. Now, certainly they're not going to discredit it to the people that are already on your team. Congratulations, you've convinced the choir. But there are a great many people on the fence, a great many people that are looking at this and they're saying, well, they really don't have any defense against this. And if we can't trust this part of the Bible, how can we trust any of it? So with today's lesson, I'm going to go through some perceived discrepancies between the two Gospels that actually have an account, Matthew and Luke. And I want you to pay attention to my methodology. Okay? Certainly you're going to learn something. We're going to go through history. And if you find history dull, just for the next hour, try not to. Let's just pretend it's fun. But I want you to pay attention to my methodology. Certainly you're going to learn and understand this better, but I want you to see how I attack a problem like this. This is what I teach in my rabbinics class. Very often I'm not teaching them what to think, I'm teaching them the methodology of study. So we're going to start by reading Luke chapter 2, verse 1. It says, in those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place under Quirinius, while Quirinius was governor of Syria. And everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in clothes and placed him in a manger because there was no guest room available for them. According to this, Yeshua was born while Joseph was traveling to Jerusalem to register for Caesar Augustus' census during the reign of Syrian governor Quirinius. Remember, Luke is using history and established historical markers to make his legal defense of Yeshua and the faith for someone, Theophilus, presumably a high priest. So he's using a bunch of these to place precisely when this happened. Now, most scholars associate this with the first tax census taken by Quirinius after Herod's son Archelaus was banished from Judea by Rome. Josephus describes this event. This is from Josephus' Antiquities, book 17, verse 13. It says, so Archelaus' country was laid to the province of Syria, and Cyrenius, which is the Greek version of Quirinius, one that had been consul, was sent by Caesar to take account of people's effects in Syria and to sell the house of Archelaus. After Herod's death, Archelaus was one of the heirs, and he really fell out of favor with Rome. So Rome banished him, and then, waste not, want not, they went in and confiscated his money and everything that he had. Okay, so this is a very specific event. In Josephus' Antiquities, book 18, chapter 1, it says, "Now Cyrenius, a Roman senator, and one who had gone through other magistracies, and had passed through them till he had been consul, and one who, on other accounts, was of great dignity, came at this time into Syria with a few others, being sent by Caesar to be a judge of that nation, and to take an account of their substance. Coponius also, a man of the equestrian order, was sent together with them to have the supreme power over the Jews." Coponius was the one that was sent to basically take control of the land of Judea and be put in charge of the Jews. "Moreover, Cyrenius came himself into Judea, which was now added to the province of Syria, to take an account of their substance and to dispose of Archelaus' money. But the Jews, although at the beginning they took the report of taxation heinously, yet they did not leave off any further opposition to it." This is describing the transition from the reign of King Herod to basically Rome getting rid of the puppet kings and saying, you know what, we're taking direct control. That's when Coponius showed up, that's when Quirinius showed up, that's when all of that's when Judea came under direct Roman rule. Josephus is describing the tax census conducted after Rome took direct possession of Archelaus' former kingdom. This took place in 6 AD, or 6 of the Common Era. So we have a specific time frame. Everything just described happened in the year 6. Everybody with me so far? Now let's read Matthew's account. Matthew chapter 2, verse 1. "After Yeshua was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, 'Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him.' When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them, 'Where was the Messiah to be born?' 'In Bethlehem, in Judea,' they replied, 'for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel.' Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, 'Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him.'" Now, the first time you see, or you read this, you realize they're describing the birth of Yeshua entirely differently. They're describing things completely differently. But, according to Matthew, Yeshua was born during the reign of Herod the Great. Herod died somewhere between 4 and 1 BC. Most scholars put it at the year 4 BC. So now we have a discrepancy. The taxation census was taken after Herod's son Archelaus was banished, but according to Matthew, Herod was still alive. So the first question we have to ask is this the same Herod? The reality is that famous names got reused famously. Best way to ensure that you were the heir apparent is to have the same name. So we have Herod the Great and we have Herod Agrippa. We have multiple Herods. The first thing that I'm often told when something like this that comes up is, well, you don't understand how many Herods there were. And I'm like, well, actually, you're barking up the wrong tree. I actually do know how many Herods there were. But that usually is enough to shut people up. At least people that want to be convinced. People that already want to be convinced that, oh, well, there were multiple Herods. It must have been somebody else. But is that the case? Is that the case? Is this the same Herod? Let's look at Matthew chapter 2, verse 19. It said, "After Herod died, An angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who were trying to take the child's life are dead." Obviously, this is Herod. And now we're talking about Herod died. So he got up, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning in Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. Having been warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee. Wait a second here. We know all these names. This seems pretty definitive. According to Matthew, Yeshua was born before Herod died. According to Luke, Yeshua was born after Archelaus, his son that was just mentioned, was cast away and Quirinius came in. That means that there seems to be a 10-year gap between Matthew and Luke's timing for Yeshua's birth. How can we account for this? How do we reconcile these two accounts? Because trust me, there's an atheist SOB out there right now documenting all of this to make you look like a fool next Thanksgiving. And you floundering around is only going to make him or her look like they have a point. So what do we do? Well, let's look at this from another perspective. When was Yeshua born in relation to John the Baptist? Does anyone remember? 6 months later. That is defined. We know Yeshua was conceived and born 6 months after John the Baptist. Good. As we learned previously, John was born on Passover. This would have put Yeshua's birth on Sukkot. That's neat, but how does it help us? Who does Luke tell us was the ruler of Judea when John was conceived and born? We're going to go back to Luke. In the time of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah who belonged to the priestly division of Abiah. His wife Elizabeth was also a descendant of Aharon. Both of them were righteous in the sight of God, observing all the Lord's commandments and decrees blamelessly. But they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive, and they were both very old. So according to Luke, Herod was still alive when John was conceived. This means that Luke's timing is much closer to Matthew's because Yeshua would have been born 15 months after we are told that King Herod was still alive. So according to this, there is no discrepancy. There is no 10-year gap. According to this, King Herod was still alive when John the Baptist was conceived. That puts Yeshua's birth 15 months later. Even if Herod died the day after, 15 months is not 10 years. How can this be? What about Quirinius' census? What about all of that? If there's one thing that you get from my teaching, I want you to understand this. You must be fearless in your faith. You know the problem with most people's faith? They treat it like a fragile egg. They treat it like if they touch it, it might crack or break. They carry it around on a pillow, and they powder its little tushy, and they kiss it, and they put it down, and they don't ask anything of it. They act like it's a fragile thing that has no substance at all. They don't jump into anything like this because, oh my God, what if the Bible's proven wrong? Well, if the Bible's proven wrong, it'd be better to know now. I'm one of these people that everything I get, I try to break it before the warranty's up. Seriously. If I can break it, I want to break it while it's on their dime, not mine. I'm not going to treat it like a baby until we're out of warranty. As far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm still alive, I'm under warranty. I want you to be fearless in your faith. I want you to have faith in God. I want you to have faith in the fact that this actually is the truth. I treat my faith like a rock. I pick it up, I sniff it, I bite it, I poke it, I throw it, I pick it back up again, I bounce it off things. I ask a lot of my faith. But in order to do that, you have to have faith in it. An unshakable faith. So let's look at this a little bit deeper. While Josephus was describing the first tax census taken in Judea, it was not, in fact, the first Roman census. They had been conducting censuses for a very long time. This is a quote from an article called "What Was the Purpose of the Census in Ancient Rome" by Moshe Rideout. He says, in ancient Rome, the census was mainly used to determine the size of a census taker's personal wealth. Most censuses were to determine how much money you had, because that was then used for assessing taxation for a citizen's financial obligation. I think we can all agree that most censuses, especially in Rome, were designed to find out how much money you had and how much money Caesar could get from you. Makes perfect sense. That's what was described by Josephus. It was also used as a way to ensure that citizens were able to serve in the military and for local administrators to plan for public services. This all makes sense. If a city-state is getting larger, you want to be able to plan for that. And in the beginning, Rome had a national army, which means that just like when, as a young man, you had to register for the draft, they have to know you exist in order to draft you. These are all reasons why this existed. The first known census of Rome occurred in 753 BC and was conducted by Servius Tullius, the 6th king of Rome. Since then, there were periodic censuses taken throughout the Roman period in order to assess the size and wealth of Roman citizens. However, although the Roman census was mainly motivated by taxation, because of course it was, it also served an important role in maintaining social order. The census enabled the patrician families to retain their privileged position since their wealth was passed from generation to generation and recorded in the census. You see, not everyone was a landowner, and landowners had special rights. In the census, each individual was assigned an official number, and this number was used to keep track of each citizen's occupation, political duties, and personal wealth. So not only did a census assess how much money you had, but also what type of citizen you were. Landowners had special privileges that tenants and slaves did not. Rome conducted censuses about every 5 years, but not all of them were for taxation. They only conducted tax censuses for the provinces they directly oversaw. That's important. Any province that was ruled by a local king was not subject to direct Roman taxation. Instead, they relied on the local king to tax the people and then give Rome its share. Rome only did a taxation census for lands they directly ruled. Herod was king of Judea. So Rome did not directly assess taxes from the Judean populace. Herod's job was to assess taxation, collect taxes, and then punt up upstairs. That's why Quirinius' census, as described by Josephus, was the first one done for tax purposes. That's because at the time of Archelaus, Rome was now taking direct control of Judea. Assuming that Luke is talking about the taxation census, is making an assumption that is not technically necessary. That means that Luke is talking about Josephus That means that Luke is talking about Joseph registering in another type of census. But what kind? Let's go back to Luke chapter 2, verse 1. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world, and everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. For most censuses, population, taxation, and everything else, people were not required to leave where they lived and return to their hometown. That's not how censuses worked. Well, you know, he had to leave where he was living and go back to his hometown for the census. And I'm like, why? That's not how censuses work. I don't care where you were born. You know, whenever the U.S. Census comes around, they don't make me go back to Delaware. Well, Norm, you better pick up. I've been living in Florida for almost 40 years. It doesn't matter how long you've been living there, son. Go back to Delaware. It's where you were born. The government doesn't care. Why? They want the money. They don't care where I made it. A census was designed to figure out where the population was, how many people were there, how do we plan for the future, and hey, how much money do you owe us? They don't give a rat's patootie. The only people who care where I was born are the people that are doing the background check to allow me to buy the gun. I don't know why they care where I was born, but they do. Nobody else does. But it's very specific that Joseph had to go back to his hometown. Why? Why? If this were for taxation, I don't care. He could stay in Nazareth. As long as he told him how much money he made, that's all Caesar cares about. How much money did you make? Oh, by the way, I'm from the don't care. I asked for your checkbook, not your life story. We're not friends. Why was this one different? The census, and I'm quoting, the census enabled the patrician families to retain their privileged position since their wealth was passed from generation to generation and recorded in the census. What made the Judean men special? What made them different than everybody else in the kingdom? As a Judean man, Joseph was a landowner descended from the line of David. When the Torah was given, when the people were brought into the promised land, then as a united kingdom, all 12 tribes, what's the one thing they were all guaranteed? Land. Land. And they were guaranteed to get it back. They could sell it, but then they always had right to buy it back, and every 50th year, whether they bought it back or not, they got it back. The land was to stay in each tribe in perpetuity. The land was never to go away. Every single citizen of the land of Israel, and then later in Judea, after Israel was dispersed, but every single Judean man was guaranteed his plot of land. He was a landowner. Only place in the entire Roman Empire that was the case. In most places, that was not the case. But as a Judean man, he was a landowner. In the Roman world, landowners were given special treatment and rights not afforded to tenants and slaves. That's why he had to go back to where he was from. He had to go back to where his land was. Because what Rome was doing was recording, okay, what's your name? Joseph, all right. You're engaged to be married to is she pregnant? All right, you know what? We're not going to get into it. But you, in fact, own this plot of land. That's why Luke says that this was the first census that took place under Quirinius. If it were the only census taken under Quirinius, or if Quirinius only ever had one census, you wouldn't need to say that it's the first census taken by Quirinius. Because the next answer would be, didn't he only ever take one census? So what we're looking at is the census that we read about in Luke chapter 1 was not in fact the taxation census. It was a previous census that was taken while Herod was still alive. Quirinius was absolutely in the area. At that time, Judea was being kind of absorbed into the Syrian Empire, and Quirinius was in the area. He was in charge of all that. So the census he was taking was not a census designed around taxation, which we can date to 6 of the Common Era, 6 AD, but in fact an earlier census. Does that make sense? Okay. So number one, Luke's not talking about that census. Now that is the census that got everybody's attention because nobody wanted to pay taxes. That's not the census we're talking about. All right. Now for the next problem. Luke's claim that this took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria. Luke chapter 2, verse 2. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria. Governor, hegemoneo, to act as a ruler, from hegemon, a leader, a chief person of a province, a prince, a ruler, a governor. The Aramaic English New Testament translates this verse this way. This census first happened during the time Quirinius was managing affairs in Syria. The accompanying commentary in that Bible says, hegemon does not carry the technical sense of governor in English. Pilate is called by this title, and he was also not a governor, but a procurator. Quirinius is acting as a military authority under the governorship of Saturnius. In this capacity, Quirinius carried out orders from Rome to manage censuses as early as 10 BC, including Apamea, Syria, which is literally next door. So, according to this, Quirinius had been in the area since 10 BC, which was 6 years before Herod died. Long before Quirinius took the position of proconsul to the first Roman procurator in Judea, long before Quirinius took the position of proconsul to the first Roman procurator in Judea, Coponius, he had acted as consul throughout Syria. He led the Roman military in numerous campaigns against its enemies in the Syrian province. This is recorded by Strabo and Pliny. Strabo, Geography, chapter 12, 569. It says, Cyrenius overthrew the country of the Homonides by starving them and captured alive 4,000 men and settled them in the neighboring cities, leaving the country destitute of all its men who were in the prime of their life. In Pliny, the Natural History, book 5, chapter 23, it says, in Pisidia, at the southern extremity of Lake Carlitis, Tacitus states that this people possessed 44 fortresses, whereas Strabo speaks of them as the most barbarous of all the Pisidian tribes, dwelling only in caves. They were conquered by the consul Quirinius in the time of Augustus. Both of these accounts convey events that preceded Quirinius' time in Judea. So Luke, talking about Quirinius, he's not talking about the time Quirinius was in Judea. He was in this area before that. As one of Caesar Augustus's hatchetmen, he was a trusted authority that was active throughout the region. In this capacity, is it any wonder that Luke refers to him as a marker of the season in which Yeshua was born? Oftentimes, scholars and non-believers alike will use recorded historical data to muddy the waters of scriptural understanding. They know that by pointing out a few perceived discrepancies and quoting a little bit of history, everybody runs for the hills. Since most people don't like history, and they certainly don't study history, very few people are able to rebut this. And what it does is it strengthens their argument, while the person that they're arguing against just looks like some country bumpkin who doesn't know how to interpret Scripture. Passages such as these in Matthew and Luke must be carefully dissected and researched in order to provide an honest and intelligent rebuttal to those intent on destroying not only the validity of the Bible, but the relevance of Yeshua's existence. And by the way, I've had Jews bring up this argument to point to why, unlike the Torah, you can't trust the New Testament. This process requires time, patience, and a strong desire to uncover the truth of the matter. Now, this is not the job for everybody. But if you are going to take a leadership role, look at me, it is your job. I don't know why, but atheists are the most evangelical group out there. Seriously. I interact with atheists all the time. I couldn't care less. I don't believe in God. That's awesome. How's that working out for you? When I die, I'm going to be a pile of dirt. That's great. I actually have a better plan, but if you're happy with the dirt pile, I'm descended from a monkey. It shows. But they can't stand the fact that you have a faith. There are two groups in this world right now that you do not want to invite to a party. Atheists and vegetarians. God, don't get me started on either one. Half the time they're the same person. God isn't real, then put that steak down. If God didn't want me to eat steak, He wouldn't have made cows so tasty. But they are out to get us. They really are. Very often atheists have been harmed in their life. Most people don't actually have a problem with God. Most of the time, if I get people talking long enough, they'll tell me why they have a problem with God. Rarely does it have anything at all to do with God. It has to do with the religious system they were raised into, overzealous parents. You know, there's a great many things that if you get them talking long enough and allow them to talk, they'll tell you what the problem is. And depending on how that dialogue goes, you can actually point out, you know, you haven't actually told me why you don't like God. You have told me why you didn't like Priest John, and I agree. But because most of the time an atheist is recovering from some form of attack or trauma, and they feel that they have freed themselves from that oppressive, abusive, whatever they feel that they've freed themselves from, they feel a need to free everyone else from it as well. They're very motivated in selling their point. And if you cannot meet steel with steel, you're going to look like an uneducated person. And if there's someone else in the room that is questioning, their argument is going to sound infinitely more rational than your argument of just because. You must understand, my faith is strong. I believe the Bible is the Word of God, and I believe what's in it. My defense of it isn't because I felt the need to justify it in my own mind. It's that I love to fight, and I hate to lose. And if I'm going to fight for God's Word, by God, I'm going to bring the big guns. And for all of you, if you come across these things, and, oy, Lord, save us from the internet. If you type any of this into the internet, you're going to find 50 articles on why the Bible can't be trusted because of things like this. I want you to be able to say to yourself, wait a second, I've heard about this. Quirinius had been around for forever. There were multiple censuses. And a taxation census wouldn't have required Joseph to go anywhere. The reality of Luke is that if you look just at the birth of Yeshua, there seems to be a problem. But the minute you go down and he talks about the birth of John, obviously Herod's still around. So obviously it wasn't Luke's intention to imply that Herod was dead. Yes?
I got lost on the deal. What was the purpose of Joseph's census that he was
Okay,
at?
good question. The purpose of that census was to assess land ownership. In the Roman Empire, landowners had special rights and special responsibilities that tenants and slaves and others did not. A non-citizen, in every Roman city, there were non-citizens, people that came in and paid rent. You know, a lot of times they were businessmen, you know, sellers, things like that. All of those people were going to be taxed, but most of them did not have any rights. Okay? So the census that required you to go back to where you were from is the census that was dealing with land ownership. This is a property that is passed down from generation to generation to generation. Joseph, as a Judean man, was a landowner. Every Judean man was a landowner. It's why it wasn't just Joseph. It's why Luke specifically says everybody went back to the town they were from. They were all going back to their ancestral land to be counted and assessed for that land. Okay? Now, if you went anywhere else in the Roman world, this was not a thing. Nobody else, just by being born into any other Roman nation, nobody else had right to land. It was only the Judeans, and that had been promised by God when they came into the promised land. Everybody was given their set. So that's why everybody went back to where they were from, because all the Judean men were all landowners. Does that make sense? Okay. Now remember that Luke was building a legal case for Yeshua and the Messianic movement. Luke had to use verifiable historic evidence in order to provide the framework for Yeshua's legitimacy. These are all things that Theophilus could look up. Constantly, Luke is tying John's conception, Yeshua's conception, the birth of both. He's constantly tying everything to sources that Theophilus could investigate and verify. So that as he goes down through, none of this is just hearsay. He can look and he can say, okay, well, Zechariah was of Avia. He was here. He can look into what happened. He can verify. When John was born, he can talk to the priesthood that was in that area. What happened? Oh, everybody said he was going to be a great gunsmaker. And with this, Luke is giving him the ability to look at this and say, okay, Herod was still alive when this happened. This was during the time that all of the Judean men had to return back for the census. Theophilus is going to be able to look and go, okay, all of that is documented history. And documented history, being able to tie all of these events to documented history, gives them a legitimacy. Because they are verified by outside sources. You yourself, previous to this lesson, most of you, the only indication you had that Quirinius ever had a census anywhere was from the book of Luke. I would lay odds most of you had only ever read about Quirinius having a census in the book of Luke. So that was your sole document telling you. So it should give you some faith and reassurance to see that this historical figure has been recorded in many places and that it verifies the account in Luke. It does not argue against it. You can now look and say Luke was absolutely right. Quirinius was in fact a man. He did in fact have the job of taking censuses. And he was absolutely, historically, alive and well in that part of the world at that time. I had somebody tell me once, oh man, that book is just a work of fiction. Really, because it's talking about historical events and historical people. It is our job to endeavor to clarify what appears to be discrepancies in the Gospels and to arm ourselves with the information necessary to debunk so-called scholarly arguments. One thing about the Messianic movement that I've always loved is that everybody is here by choice. With the exception of your kids, my kids, that were born into the Messianic movement. They've never done any different. But they're like the first generation. Everybody else came from somewhere else. Whether you came out of Judaism, whether you came out of Christianity or whatever, this is a relatively young and new movement. And that means that everybody has got a horse in this race. This group of people are the most biblically aware of any I've ever met. I have people come in from churches. One of my great friends came in before he moved away, and he looked at me when he goes, anybody I talk to in your congregation, they know their Bible. I've been to a lot of churches. I was raised Baptist, and most of the people, they don't know their Bible half as well. Is that your doing? I said, no, that's their doing. because of our relationship with our faith, and we really are the problematic ones. We really are the ones that ask the questions that most pastors did not want to hear. We were the argumentative ones that were like, why? But we've been chased out of almost every synagogue and church there is. We've been told it's because your faith is immature. When your faith is mature, you won't need to ask these questions. And I'm like, wait a minute, telling me I'm too stupid to ask a question, and when I'm not so stupid, I won't need to ask the question, but you're not going to answer my stupid question to make me less stupid. You're just going to let osmosis make me less stupid? But that's what I love about this movement. Most of the people that I have met, how you guys are argumentative. But you've all read your Bible. You have all researched. You've all come up with your theories, sometimes pet theories, sometimes established. You have all come up to me to argue this, that, everything else. And sometimes those arguments are fruitful. Other times it's like, look, man, I'm not going to spend the next 10 years arguing Wav versus Vav. But you typically are seen as an authority. Most of the Messianic believers I've known are biblically literate enough that the people in their circles do turn to them for answers. So, with today's lesson, I wanted you to see the methodology by which I answer these questions. And that it's really not mystical, it's really not magical. Anybody with any access to Roman history can easily go through and establish everything I just did. And it may seem like a big ask, but that is what I expect from you. I expect you to be better educated than the people that just blindly go forth telling you to shut up and stop asking questions. I expect you, because you're self-aware. You're not here because any of you were born into this movement. You know, your parents didn't sit in these pews and you inherited the position. All of you are here because you were questioning, you were searching, you were looking, and somehow God led you here. God bless your soul. So, next week we are going to move on with even more. But that is my lesson for today. Yes?
I'm going to open a can of worms, but I think you have the answer.
Well, hopefully.
If somebody were to show up today and claim to be the Messiah, if I understand what I've been learning, how would they ever be able to verify their claims?
Well, the return of Mashiach ben David is fairly well documented. It's not going to be some dude just schlepping in. Hi, everybody. I'm Jesus reborn. It's like, A, where's your white horse? B, where's your army? C, aren't you supposed to be kicking butt and taking names? Dude, you came in a Yugo.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, understand. When you look at end time prophecy, there's a bunch of things that have to happen. The return of Mashiach ben David, is seen most clearly in the book of Revelation.
Yeah.
All right, and most of the people that are going to claim to be Jesus reborn, they're going to the book of Revelation. Okay, but understand, he doesn't just come schlepping in. He's not coming in to sit here and anything else. He's not here to start a new movement. When he comes back as Mashiach ben David, he is coming back specifically to fight a war and a battle.
That wasn't my question. If you were, let's say, an Orthodox Jew, and somebody shows up claiming to be the Messiah, how could they, if they don't believe in the New Testament, verify or disprove that person?
That is where Orthodox Judaism has always been at a disadvantage. There have actually been false messiahs, multiple false messiahs coming out of Judaism. Most of them are Kabbalists. The most famous is Bar Kokhba. Bar Kokhba was son of a star, and that was in 136, I believe. Yeah, it was after the time of Yeshua. It was around the time of Rabbi Akiva. And Bar Kokhba came in and claimed to be Mashiach ben David, started a messianic movement, got all of the land of Judea and many of the outlying lands on his side, raised an army. Akiva devoted 24,000 of his disciples to the cause, and they got this close to kicking Rome out. You know the problem getting this close to something? You still missed. So when it failed, he took off, and the Jews renamed him from Bar Kokhba, son of a star, to Bar Chosiba, son of a liar. That was only one. I forget. There's another famous one during the medieval times. Yeah, went through Europe. He was also a Kabbalist. Went through Europe, claiming to be Mashiach. A bunch of the Jewish communities sold everything they had, and then piled up their carts, and they started following him to the Promised Land. And he, I forget exactly how it happened, but as they approached the Promised Land, he converted to Islam and basically left everybody sitting. Yeah, also not great. So understand, apart from the New Testament, there really is no authoritative source, because Judaism has had a number of false messiahs. All of them promised to lead the people back into the Promised Land, which didn't. As a matter of fact, Bar Kokhba promised to kick out the Romans, which is what everybody thought Yeshua was going to do, except of course as Mashiach ben Yosef. He didn't come to do that. So the reality is, if you do not read any of Revelation, if you don't read any of the end-time prophecy found in the New Testament, if you read none of that, it's going to be very, very difficult for you. Because most of the Old Testament prophecies about the Messiah actually pointed to Yeshua. He was going to be born in Bethlehem, things like that. So most of the prophecies about Mashiach pointed to Mashiach ben Yosef. And if they missed all that, there really are no old-time prophecies that are pointed to Mashiach ben David. There are end-time prophecies. Most of them have to do with the reestablishment of the lost 10 tribes, bringing the two sticks together, preparing the nation for God. I mean, there are markers for that. And if you're paying attention and you're looking around Judaism, you're looking for the people that are made lo ami, to be renamed children of God. Those that were lo ruchama, unpitied, to be pitied. You're looking at the reestablishment, the two sticks in Ezekiel's hand, Ephraim and Judah. These are things you should be looking for. They're not. Okay. Part of the reason that if you go up to Crown Heights, if you go up to New York, along with the Palestinian protesters all screaming, "No!" you will find Orthodox Hasidic Jews, because the Orthodox Hasidic movement does not recognize Israel as it stands today as legitimate, because they have always taught that Mashiach will come and lead everyone back. So the fact that Mashiach did not lead the Jewish people back into the Promised Land, they think that it is illegitimate. So it's why you will see an Orthodox rabbi standing there with camel jockeys screaming up and down about how, illegitimate Israel is. Yes. So unfortunately, there are no definitive markers that can be used apart from the New Testament in order to date when Mashiach will return as Mashiach ben David.
So basically, they're at the mercy of someone falsely claiming to be the Messiah.
It can happen and has happened historically, yes.
Yeah, there's a book called The 50 Jewish Messiahs by Jerry Rabbo.
Yeah, there are a bunch of them.
That's from the time of Yeshua to now. So
Yep.
50 claims.
Well, because it's a little bit different now, because Israel is a thing, but for most of the last 2,000 years, the people have been dispersed with no real access to the land. So every time a leader came up and said, "I'm going to lead you back," and they went, "Oh my God, it must be the Messiah, he's leading us back." And it always went off the rails somewhere. Because the reality is, because they weren't the Messiah, they actually didn't have the power to lead them back into the land. They had the power to motivate them to sell everything and follow them, but as they got closer and closer to the land, well, they had no real power to take possession of the land, and so they split. Hey everybody, so long and thanks for all the fish. All right. You had your hand up, yes?
I was going to say, even if they read the New Testament and Revelations, they didn't believe the prophecies that actually came true when Yeshua was. So
That's true.
why would they believe it if they read Revelation in the first place?
Yeah. The reality is, whenever I discuss Messiah with a Jewish audience, I'm using my arguments about Bina Chokhmah, immanence, transcendence. I'm using them to prove the legitimacy of Mashiach ben Yosef, not trying to point them toward Mashiach ben David. If I can't win the argument about Yeshua being Mashiach ben Yosef, then any argument about Mashiach ben David is superfluous.
He doesn't mention the suffering servant as well. Ezekiel doesn't mention the suffering servant, how he'll be
Yeah.
basically unrecognizable by the time of the dead.
Yeah, there's all of that. You know, he was beaten, he was striped in the service of God. All of that. Again, if they have most of the Old Testament prophecies about the Messiah all point to Mashiach ben Yosef, and if they miss that, exactly. And in reality, at some point, you have to have some commonality. We have to have some commonality about trusted sources and things like that. And if you have someone that's just bound and determined to not agree with you, it's going to be very, very hard for you to win that argument. You cannot convince someone who has no intention of being convinced. Hence, when Yeshua says you're casting your pearls before swine. It's why there are people that I refuse to engage. They have no intention of listening and having an honest discussion. All they want to do is throw rocks at me. And you know what? My faith means a lot to me. I'm not going to beg people to listen to it. I've spent a great deal of time, money, and energy developing my faith. And it has great value to me. And if you don't care, I don't care. If you're utterly convinced there is no God and Yeshua isn't the Messiah, then you know what? Congratulations. You picked your baseball team. I hope they make it to the playoffs. But I am under no obligation to be abused to help you out in any way. You know, I know this is a horrible thing, but God gives us free will for a reason, and God himself honors our choices. And if God's going to honor a person's choices, I am not greater than God. I will honor their choices as well. So, if anyone is abusing you because of your belief system and you feel any obligation to convince them of something they don't want to be convinced of, allow me to be the person to tell you. To dust off your sandals, do not cast your pearls before swine, and you're good to go.
I'm not saying this correctly. You give us the opportunity to learn. A lot of the people that reject God and reject the Messiah have never been given the opportunities we have.
That may actually be accurate.
So I'm just saying, get the food out there, and if they don't want to eat it, that's up to them.
That is true. I mean, there's a reason we go out over the interwebs every single week. All right, beloved. Nope. Turn this off. And you could make the argument that the information has been readily available for long enough. You could make the argument that the information has been readily available for long enough. You know, any hotel you go into, there's a Gideon Bible there. If anybody was truly questioning, or truly wanted to know, the resources are readily available. You would have to go to the deepest, darkest corner of somewhere to find a people that has been completely cut off. Are there people in this world that have had absolutely no access to anything having to do with God, Yeshua, and the faith? Probably, but those are people that are going to, shoot arrows at you the minute you pull your boat up on the shore. Almost everyone else you have ever run into has the ability to, find some of this information. Anybody with a smartphone certainly has the ability to type in who was Jesus, and they're going to get more information than they ever knew. Okay.
All right. If I can have you stand, please, for the closing of the ark. We're keeping out. No, just wait until after the blessing. All right. Page 68, your Sidors, or of course the screen's to my right.
Torah Hashem Samoshe Lifnei Bnei Yisrael B'Yahovei B'Yad Moshe.
And this is the Torah that Moses placed before the children of Israel at the command of Yahweh through Moses' hand. Very good, Ellie. All right.
And she's off.
All right. We just need the young men to come forward for their blessing, please.
All right. Yismech Elohim k'Ephraim v'k'Manasseh. May Yahweh make you a symbol of blessing to Ephraim and Manasseh.
And our young ladies.
Ladies!
Come on.
Come on. Hey!
Okay.
Okay.
What's my letter?
Yisamech Elohim Kesarah Rivka Rachel Leah. The Yahweh make you a full blessing as he did Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. All right. Hold it for me.
Mimi.
Yemima.
Allie. Where you going? Come here. Go over to Daddy. All right, y'all getting there. Just waiting for everybody to get to where they need to be. All right. יברכך יהוה וישמרך, יאיר יהוה פניו עליך ויגונך, יישא יהוה פניו עליך וישם לך שלום. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And the congregation responds, Amen. So may it be. Amen and Shavuot Tov. And once again, Happy Father's Day.
Sorry.
I need a pair of nail clippers.